everyone, friends and first of all species. I'm Daisy Hyena. We're back with another episode of Winds of Change. Now last time, shit hit the fan. Pro and Ulrich staged a death. I saw that coming, man. Then we also had Sovy joining the gang. He was a prisoner, but he broke himself out. Told us that Pro was the mole to the Triumvirate, and Ulrich was the ex-Grand Inquisitor. Both of those things kind of saw coming. I mean, Pro was a little bit more of a surprise than Ulrich. Ulrich, that one, I see that a mile away. Anyway, now we're on the ship, and we're going back home. We got Vivian's support. We have all the Alorinthians, and we're about to go to the last battle. So I'm assuming that we're kind of towards the end. Right now we are on the boat. It's the next morning, and we're gonna talk to everyone, see what they think about Sovy. Either we keel-haul him, or keep him. For those of y'all who know what keel-hauling means, yikes. That is horrific stuff. Google it if you want to ruin your day. Anyway. Shit. Everybody is standing there, as if they were waiting for me to arrive. They all exchange glances with Sovy, and unease fills the air. I don't blame them for being reserved right now. Not at all. They all turn to face me, so that's when I hand the floor to Sovy. If he wanted to help us out, he had to win over my entire crew. The choice was with me, but all of their input was important. All of us gather around in a circle. This means he could easily address all of it. No shit! I'm curious what he has to say. A lot is on the line.
My name is Sovy. I am, or was, the Grand Inquisitor. I no longer serve the Triumvirate. I was betrayed by my apprentice. He sold me out, forcing my masters to place me in exile. They threw me away. Everything they ever told me was a lie. I thought they were Alestia's rightful rulers, but then I figured out that this wasn't true. The heir to the throne is the monarch. I am a victim of their tyranny, just as you are, all of you. I hope you understand.
Die.
I'm still at a loss. I don't really know what to do with myself, but coming here to meet with you and the monarch seemed like a good idea. Last night, I also revealed some information that could help your upcoming attack. I just need to know that I belong somewhere. Attacking the Triumvirate will involve taking down Halen. We share a common purpose, at least until he's taken care of. After that, I really don't know. I've always pledged my loyalty to the rightful ruler of Alestia. Logic would dictate that I now serve the monarch. But I don't know.
You know, I really don't like this man, but I respect him keeping it 100 with everybody.
The Triumvirate can throw people away at the snap of a finger, but I'm not like that. What they did was hurt me almost beyond repair. I will help you attack Baltaus and take down Halen. You have my word. But after that, I don't know what will happen. In that sense, I am both an asset and a liability. If you want me to leave, then that's what I'll do. When we get to Museo, you'll never see me again. That is, unless you want my help. I can offer valuable intel. It's a gamble for both you and me. I don't fully trust you either. But hopefully, I've earned a sliver of trust with the monarch. If she vouches for me, then hopefully you will as well. That is all. My fate is in your hands. I have nothing more to say.
He crosses his arms, waiting for a reply. My comrades are all shocked and confused, save for Pro and Ulrich. I ask them to step forward one by one and offer their thoughts on this. For once I have the grasp on an entire situation. This is how things should be. Like Sovy said, I was the rightful ruler. I couldn't have people being dishonest and plotting behind my back.
I honestly didn't expect this, but nothing has been normal lately. I'm willing to give Sovy a chance. I did the same thing with Grizz. His defection marked a turning point for our cause, a big one. If he can help us out, then I think we need to accept it. And if he turns against us, then he's easily outnumbered. The potential benefits outweigh the potential risks.
This is clearly a trap. We request that you deny his assistance. He's alone now, but he won't be when we arrive in Baltaus. If we give him information, he'll turn on us once we get there. Surely we aren't the only one who thinks this way. An alliance with our enemy mere days before our attack. It's too convenient. Sovy is playing us for a fool.
I'm with Hal on this one. We can't work with the enemy. This is the man that killed you and burned down Valinor in your vision. I know it was a trick, but the man is the same. He's a trained
Aren't
killer.
we all?
For that reason, I can't accept his offer. Fortune, you're with me, right?
I don't know, Valessa. I think everybody deserves a second chance. We all had that moment when we turned against the Triumvirate. Why is it so hard to believe that Sovy might have that moment? He worked so closely with them. He's seen their true nature. He has more knowledge on them than anybody else in our army. It makes sense that he'd come to the same realization as us. I mean, sure, it took a while longer, but that's because he served them. When you remove the excuse of loyalty, it can become pretty clear. That's why he didn't fully realize things until they put him in exile.
Yeah, I'm with Fortem. Everybody deserves a second chance. We've all been there before. We've all made a wrong decision or two. There's no better way to make up for it than doing the right thing.
Sovy isn't concerned with doing the right thing. He's a liar, plain and simple. There's no way we can trust him. He turned on us the moment we arrived in Baltaus. That's a guarantee. Letting him close to us now would only enable him to gather information. If he knows our strategy, he can counter us with the Inquisition when we arrive. It's a death sentence, Monarch. Don't be foolish. We've come too far to risk this.
It seems like my comrades are divided, but with good reason. I was hoping for something more unanimous in any given direction. It was clear that now the pressure and final decision rested on my shoulders, like fucking always!
Well, Monarch?
You know what? Since coming here, and because I could see the other things, if I wasn't able to see all those little, over in the background parts, it would very much change my decision-making process. But because I've seen all of those, it makes me realize that I think he is kind of, if he ain't against the Triumvirate, he's against Halen, and that's for sure. But I respect him because he didn't say, oh yeah, I'm swearing my loyalty to you forever, blah, blah, blah. That's when I would say bullshit. But he said, I swear my loyalty until Halen is dead. After that, I can't promise what will happen. I respect the fuck out of that. Alright? I would like it if we make a deal that says, okay, we'll deal with the Triumvirate, Halen, all that stuff. All of us will have, that whatever. Then we will go our separate ways. And after that, after we have separated, then you can choose what you want to do from there. Alright, either you can pursue us, or you can, repent all the way, come back with us. It's up to you after that point. But we'd have a solid amount of time to separate. I mean, I know I'm supposed to do corruption, or at least that's what I've been told, to do corruption to get the power of the sphere, and that's what the monarch is supposed to be, the corrupt instead of the pure. It seems like Howl, who is supposed to be the embodiment of corruption, is not actually giving me the correct option. Which is why I even chose him in the first place to be my advisor, so that he could give me kind of the right direction of what I should do. Fuck it. I'm gonna go and say, join my rebellion. It was a risk that I was willing to take for our cause. The information he could offer us would make us so much stronger. If we got suspicious of him before the attack, we could easily outnumber him.
Very well.
He takes a few steps back and rests against the edge of the boat. A few minutes later, after everything is said and done, we arrive in Mazeo. The docking process is short since our pirate allies are masters of the art. Hal steps forward, filling the silence that overtook our ranks.
Finally, we are ready to attack Baltaus. The liberation of Valessa is at least within our reach. Baltaus is a few days away by sea, so we can plan on the way. Right now, the preparation you must focus on is that of a goodbye. Spend time with your friends, your loved ones, because this is the end. Once we set sail for Baltaus, we may never come back. A hard fact to face.
Not really, because I have a save file. Ha! His words are true, but fill the air with tension. The dawn of our final battle was here, and we needed to prepare. But planning the attack was easy. Our true task was accepting our possible death. This means saying goodbye and spending a final day or two with our friends. I should use this opportunity to make sure everyone is prepared for the final battle. As the leader, it was my job to ensure that we were all up to the task, no matter what.
I don't think there's anything left to say. Finish up your business, and we'll set sail when the monarch demands it. Act under the assumption that you only have 1 or 2 days before departure. I don't want to rush anything as important as a goodbye, but every moment we waste is a moment for our enemy to prepare. I trust that we'll find a happy medium and embark without regret.
Everyone nods, agreeing with his words. I can't believe that the time was finally here. Until now, it seemed like a dream, out of reach. But it's right in front of me. This is it. Our journey was in its final hours. I tense up with worry. We make our way off the boat, embracing what little time we had left. I look off into the distance, already shivering at the extreme cold. I wanted to visit home one more time before the end, and that included East Crown. We never got to find out what was out there. I started to wonder if we ever will. Not that it's even important. It has nothing to do with our goal or our cause. It's just a mystery, one of many left unsolved. Hal approaches me from behind and looks into Eastern Crown. He seems perplexed, like not even he really knows what's out there. It makes sense. I doubt the old monarchy had the ability to survive the cold.
We know this place.
Oh, shoot! He holds out his hand, feeling the harsh winds.
The fatal cold, death within an hour. No chance of survival. Not like Alarinthia's deserts. We let criminals handle their own end. A mercy. Because of this, it became a very mysterious place. We started to wonder what was out there, if anything. However, until now, we had no way of finding out.
Until now? Yeah, the body doesn't need anything, right?
This cold, we feel nothing. It wouldn't harm us to venture forward. Perhaps now is the time to solve this mystery.
Bet, let's do this.
How fitting that we would be the first. A monument to death. An execution ground. Monarch, we would like to take a brief break.
How does he know for sure that he can survive? He may not feel anything, but the body could still freeze.
Unlikely. We would be shielded by our spirits.
Huh?
They may die, one by one, but we would endure. At the end of it, we would remain largely unchanged. Unlikely. We would be shielded by our spirits. They may die, one by one, but we would endure. At the end of it, we would remain largely unchanged. Besides, we were not asking for permission. Do you not share the same curiosity as us?
You're right. I feel like it's important, right? Right? I'm probably wrong. I've been wrong almost the entire time. You're right. It's something I've wanted to know.
We thought so, too. Something about great minds. Perhaps there will be nothing, or perhaps not. It is something we will never know until we try.
He takes a few steps forward and looks down at the ground.
Already, we can feel our power dwindling. The spirits inside come forth to keep us warm. We will hurry and return with minimal damage.
He starts walking away, powered by his curiosity. I guess he couldn't resist solving a mystery of the world. I don't blame him. He was also uniquely qualified to do so. Just like how I'm the heir to the throne, I'm the only one. I guess he's just embracing his calling much like I did. But Eastcrown? Would there even be anything in there? You know what? I think there's something important. There must be something important inside Eastcrown. It was too mysterious. There had to be something there. And now we'd finally find that out. It was rather exciting. I had those thoughts in my mind until Hal returns. He shows no sign of wear and walks as strong as ever. It's hard to get a read on his face. There's no emotion on display.
We don't understand. For a while, there was nothing. But then, we saw something interesting.
Oh, really? What? Tell me. I asked him to elaborate, my curiosity taking control. Oh yeah, tell me.
Eastcrown is ice. There's no water anywhere. It doesn't make any sense. We saw our ship crashed, broken, frozen among the ice.
So that suggests that it wasn't always ice. And it froze rather recently, I guess.
The ship sailing in ice. This is backwards, but we think that perhaps this is okay. Backwards, just like our thoughts.
Now he's lost me.
The future, or perhaps the past. This new outlook changes almost everything. Do not worry, Monarch. We were harmed in no way. As we said, spirits inside kept us warm. A self-sacrifice that helped us brave the cold. A noble end. We are lesser now, but only slightly, and it is an interesting feeling. What we saw in Eastground is of no real importance. However, it has conjured up a spark in our minds. A spark that we must discuss promptly in Mazio.
Okay.
There are some final matters to take care of before the end. Thanks for coming here, Monarch. If anything, it benefits us. I'm sorry if this wasn't what you expected, but that's not always a bad thing.
Yeah. I nod, as long as he found some sort of benefit in his little trip. Before our final battle, everyone needed to be committed to the cause. One error, one slip-up could cost us all our lives. We had to be resolute. But I wondered what he could want to talk about so suddenly. The future, thinking backwards? Something was definitely bothering him. I'd have to do my duty as his leader to quell any worry before we launch our attack. Oh, hey. I look at the water tank, thinking of the vision that started this all. Back then, I thought we could use the water to fight the flames. Little did I know that the entire vision was just a trick to bait us. However, that was the first time I ever laid eyes on Sovy. I'll never forget what he did to me. He killed me without hesitation. But is he different now? Or was he ever really like that to begin with?
So, this is Valinor. I've heard stories, but never been. Well, unless you count that vision the Triumvirate tricked you with. I must apologize for that. I knew what was going on, and I played along. It's not like I could have done anything else. Valinor was too far away. That, and they still had me under their thrall. I was theirs to command. At least I was able to break free. I feel bad for Halen. I truly do.
He looked around the town square. It looks like he's enamored by Valinor. Almost as if he's looking at a wonder of the world.
I need to ask, what did you think of me? The moment we met in that vision, who was I to you? A mindless slave? A killer? Or perhaps a man who was lost?
You were a murderer, plain simple. I saw a man going about the right thing the wrong way. I actually couldn't get over how attractive you are. Bam! That was real. That's real shit.
Where do you think you're going, you two? It would be rude to leave before I'm done with you. Watch, and you'll see why you can never win.
Oh, why are you hot? It was a fake vision, so it doesn't really matter. It was fake, it doesn't really matter.
I guess you're right. But the Triumvirate made that vision. I know they did it to trick you, but I was still a part of it. How they portrayed me would be how they saw me.
Oh, yeah. He shakes his head and looks around the town some more. His eyes become fixated on the post office, and he smiles slightly.
A post office? I haven't seen one of those in ages. I couldn't travel much when I was younger, so I collected stamps. The drawings of places around Alestia. That was the closest I ever got.
Damn, that's actually kind of cute. He walks towards it, so I make sure to follow him. This is the first time he's ever mentioned anything about his past. It's hard to imagine that he was anything other than the Grand Inquisitor.
But the art never really matches up with the place when you see it in person. I remember collecting the Baltaus set and being shocked when I actually got there. It's not really a good or a bad difference, it's just interesting to see how they compare.
Stamps are cool, I collect some too. Why couldn't you travel?
That's not really something I'd like to talk about right now. Do you mind if I go inside and buy some really quick?
Aww.
It won't take too long, I promise. Just wait for me.
Yeah, you get your stamp collecting on. I nod, he smiles at me. He runs into the post office and buys some stamps. Why is this adorable? He looks like a look of childlike glee is worn on his face when he returns.
Thank you, Monarch. You know what it's like. Sometimes you just need to do something. This is the first time I've truly been free, so I almost couldn't resist. I'll save these, and perhaps we can write each other after the war. You'll be incredibly busy, so I can't expect to earn a lot of your time.
That sounds great. I'd love to write each other. You can have as much time as you want. Hell yeah. I'm not so sure. Let's play it by ear. We might not survive That sounds great.
Perfect. We'll figure something out when the time comes. For now, I think we have to focus on more important things.
He looks at the blade on my back and assumes a thinking pose.
You could use some training, couldn't you? Anything to give you an edge in the upcoming battle. I have years of practice, so I can teach you almost everything. We shouldn't stay here too long, no. Schedules and all that. If we start training while we travel, it'll be more efficient in the end. We can't waste too much time before setting sail for Baltaus.
I nod, it's true. He could teach me a lot about this blade. I feel like I'd be needing that knowledge in the coming days. Yeah, that's one of the things I was pissed about. Why aren't we having, they put so much emphasis for the whole first act about training with this sword and how the sword was uncontrollable even to us, and now it's just like everyone can fucking use it and it does nothing anymore. So perhaps having him join us wasn't a bad idea after all.
Wonderful. Normally, I'd call you an apprentice at this point, but I'm past that. I need to drop the behavior that the Triumvirate taught me. So, you're not an apprentice to me. You're a friend.
Aww.
And I'll help you.
Aww. We start walking away from the town square and he inspects his stamps. It was crazy how different he seems from what he was before. I'm taken aback. But if this was the new him, and not some sort of facade, he'd be welcomed. Hell yeah, that was fucking adorable! As I wander the town square of Museo, I notice Sovy checking out the market stalls. He seems completely engrossed by everything, like he finally has time to stop and look. It makes sense. Until now, it's likely that he was always on a mission for the Triumvirate. After exploring the markets for a while, he approached me. It doesn't look like he bought anything, he was just looking around.
So many useless items. People actually buy these things. Back in Baltaus, I got used to having the bare minimum. Anything more than that is a pointless luxury. A waste. Yet, I must say, some of it does have a certain appeal. There were some very unique writing utensils. I might look into them. Not that I fancy myself a writer or anything. They just caught my eye.
Aww. He points to the nearby alleyway and tilts his head toward it.
Would you follow me into that alley, Monarch? I think we need to get away from all of these people.
Sure thing. Already, I didn't think you were that into me. Alone in an alley, you think I trust you that... Whatever. Sure thing.
It won't take too long, I promise. I just remembered what we talked about before. There's a trick or two I can teach you with that blade.
If I die at this point, I die. Without saying another word, he walks into the back alleyway. I follow after him, ready to learn more about the Blade of Exodus. When we arrive, I start to ask him questions, mainly about its origin.
I couldn't tell you. It's a mystery, even to me. Perhaps they stole it from the monarchy before they took over. I've heard that they had visions too, much like the blade can supply. If that's not the truth, then perhaps they made it themselves. But I'm starting to think they either stole it or stumbled upon it. Stealing isn't above them, as we've all been made aware of.
Oh yeah. He shakes his head as if he's upset he can't state my curiosity. You know, one of my friends said that the back scratch on this chair is starting to become an iconic thing I do. Fuck. Why not? But that's fine. Perhaps it's something we'd find out when we went to baltaus.
This is probably the first trick I should teach you.
He holds out a closed fist, and my blade soon appears in his hand. I've seen that happen several times, almost like he could summon it at any time.
You have to be near the blade for it to work, but it's useful. Disarming your enemy is a viable tactic in battle, so be ready. They will try to take the blade away from you because of its power.
I nod.
Go ahead. Hold out your hand and reach for the blade. Not with your body, but with your mind. See if it works.
I close my eyes and hold out my hand. Sovy immediately chastises me with the blunt side of the blade. Hitting it again in my hand, I wince slightly and shake the pain away.
No, never close your eyes in battle. Did you not learn anything about combat in Vallenorth?
Nope.
If you did that in a real battle, you'd be dead in mere seconds.
Yeah, I shrug.
Now do it again, and look me in the eye. I have no use for you if you can't follow directions.
Doing as instructed, I look him in the eye. I focus as hard as I can and try to summon the blade. But after a few moments, nothing happens, nothing at all.
Try harder, like your life depends on it. Because when you need to do this, it will.
I scoff softly, but try not to break the gaze. He squints as if he's judging my movements. But after more time, nothing happens.
I guess you need a little incentive.
Oh shit! Without any warning, he reaches behind himself. Pulling a dagger from a leather strap on his back, he attacks me. I take a defensive stance, and before he can harm me, I have possession of the blade. It appears in my hand at the perfect angle and position to deflect Sovy's assault. His dagger is in a deadlock with my blade, and he pushes me back against the alley wall.
So, it's your fear that powers you.
After a few moments, he backs off and puts away the dagger.
I was the same, until I mastered my fears. Then the blade responded to my willpower, my resolve. It can learn and grow just as much as you can, Monarch. If you learn to remain calm in the face of battle, you'll do fine. Without fear to rely on, the blade will find something else. What that is, however, is different from person to person. I'm eager to see what kind of person you become. For now, let's continue on our way. No more wasting time. When we have another moment together, I can teach you more.
Alright, bet. He smiles and leaves the alleyway. I remain there by myself. It was hard not to be scared given my situation and the upcoming battle. But if mastering these emotions made me a better wielder, then I had to try. I leave the alleyway and replay the recent events in my mind. My eyes trail over to the drawing utensils that Sovy pointed out earlier. I wonder for a moment if I could get him a gift, a thank you for the lessons. But is that a good idea? Why is it necessarily romantic? I buy shit for my friends? Okay. Because I'm not allowed to be a hoe anymore. We've already discussed I'm not allowed to be a hoe anymore, even though I love in video game form being a hoe. I'm not allowed, so don't get them. It probably wasn't a good idea, so I forget it and move on. Fuck, that makes me feel bad. Perhaps another time, as right now I was very busy. I leave the town square ready to continue on my way. bitch! I walk through the main atrium of the Rebel HQ. It's not fully clean, blood still stains the floor, armor is scattered about. I'm not sure what they plan to do with the pieces of the honor guard. Sovy is looking around. He appears sad. I don't blame him, this is where he launched his attack. Him and his men almost killed us. We almost lost that day.
I already had my doubt when we launched this attack. If only we had our fight a little bit earlier, I could have prevented this. Touching that blade at the same time as you, that was the catalyst. I don't think you knew the truth of the monarchy at that point. It's almost as if they were calling out to me, trying to change my stance. Well, I suppose it worked. I stand here, ready to repay you for my sins.
His words seem so genuine, it's almost hard to think that he could be lying. At first, he seemed unsure about whether or not he'd rejoin the Triumvirate. What started out as a revenge quest against Halen has certainly grown quickly.
But we mustn't waste time on talk like that. Focusing on the past stops you from seeing the future. That's what is truly important, your assault on Baltaus.
I agree, Sovy doesn't seem like one to waste time with pleasantries.
So, I guess I'll be teaching you 2 lessons this time. First of all, focus on the war. Don't waste time with being friendly. I've seen you and your comrades. That bond is dangerous during battle. We can't have you taking a sword for a loved one. You are this world's future, Monarch. You need to be smart. Feelings? They cloud judgment. I know this all too well, and so should you. And in your situation, it is best to rely on things that serve you without hesitation. A friend with emotional stakes may not follow every order. That is a major flaw. Their blade, however, and the beings it can create, will cater to your desire.
He points to the suits of armor scattered on the floor. That means the next lesson must be related to the honor guard. The Triumvirate could create near infinite amount. Could I do that too?
Normally, the blade requires a sacrifice and the energy within to power that armor. But there is so much energy within you. I wonder if you could do it by yourself. Imagine an entire force of honor guard soldiers serving you. Such power. The Triumvirate is right to want that blade back. In your hands, it is a threat. And it makes sense why they'd want you dead, too. You are the monarchy. Take out that blade for me, Monarch. Let's see if you can do what I think you can.
I do as instructed and take out the blade. Why is it, out of this whole time, the only one who has trained me on this fucking blade is my fucking enemy? Imagine if I hadn't, brought him into our crew. Fuck!
It responds to your will, your desire. Think of it as an extension of your body. A new muscle, ready to be trained. Hold it out toward those scattered pieces of armor. See if your resolve is strong enough to give them life. That's all it takes. A spark in your mind to ignite a flame.
I hold out the blade, pointing it towards the suit of armor. I keep my eyes focused on them, trying to control them. The pieces start to move, rocking back and forth. I focus with all my strength and they start to shake more. But, as Sovy mentioned, it's like a new muscle, I can't flex it for long. The pieces stop shaking and remain still just as soon as they begin to move.
Disappointing.
I scoff at him and assume a neutral stance.
It seems as if you can only use the blade while under duress. I suppose that's not too bad. We'll be in Baltaus soon enough, after all. At least now you know what to do. Follow my directions and you'll be fine.
He starts to walk away but quickly turns around.
There won't be enough time for you to master your fears. You might have to embrace these dangerous situations in order to prevail. But that blade is so powerful. I'd do whatever it takes to harness that power. I'll see you around, Monarch. Feel free to keep practicing if you feel the need. This is going better than I expected, to say the least.
This time, he dismisses himself for real. Embrace the danger to become more powerful. That seems like backwards logic, but a lot of things were backwards lately. If the blade responds to my fears and danger, then I guess I knew what to do. Because Sovy was right. I could never retrain myself in time for our final attack. What an odd situation to be in, but I guess in my position I couldn't eschew risk. His implication was that if I were in danger, the suits of armor would have risen up. When the time comes, I can only hope that his prediction is correct. I wonder what the other lessons are there to learn. What else could that blade do? Perhaps I'll learn more from Sovy the next time we meet, whenever that ends up being. His advice keeps playing on repeat in my mind. Emotional stakes could be a hindrance in battle. Would I truly let something like that endanger our cause? Would I sacrifice myself to save a comrade? Or in this case, I guess it works the other way around. I close my eyes and pray that we never have to find out. I sat on my bed thinking about the blade and what I could do with it. As if on cue, I heard a knock on my door. Sovy enters. He seems much more relaxed than normal, like he's comfortable.
So, did you manage to get any more practice in? Or were you just going to improvise when we got to Baltaus? Both are good options given the circumstances. I'm just curious.
I think I'm doing better.
That's good. The more the better, that's what I say. But at the same time, you're limited. I trained my entire life. If you only have a few days, don't expect anything substantial.
Yeah. He takes a few steps forward and sits beside me on the bed.
Being down here has made my mind race almost non-stop. I mean, what I did to you and your family is unforgivable. Yet here we are, trying to move past it, letting me atone. The most important thing on my mind is why? Why did you welcome me with open arms after what I did? I feel like anybody with common sense would have put me to the blade.
I could tell you were being genuine. I trusted you. I wanted to become closer, actually. Common sense isn't one of my strong... It's really not! I could see how lost you were. You needed direction. I keep asking myself that too. Maybe I made a mistake. I don't know, I just acted on my instinct. I could tell that you were being genuine. I trusted you.
I'm assuming you were the only one. The look I got from your comrades was definitely condemning. But then what makes you different? Why could you tell?
Because I saw all the side quests. He sighs and slumps down a bit.
Well, that's all I really wanted to talk about. If you'll excuse me, I'll be on my way. Good luck with everything, Monarch.
He gets up and walks away, a weight clearly on his shoulders. I'm glad I could help him out by offering answers to his questions. But was it enough? Hopefully he wouldn't turn on us in Baltaus. Something tells me we're very close to earning his full loyalty. However, who once appeared to be a murderous villain was now showing a different side. I know that if we really did win him over, he'd be an indispensable asset in Baltaus. And if that went well, he could even become a trusted soldier. Perhaps we'd be able to spend more time together before the final attack. I felt like we were incredibly close to ensuring he remained on our side no matter what. Okay, that's just telling me that if I don't do this loyalty scene, that he will fuck us in the ass. So, guess what I'm doing? Getting fucked in the ass. I'm joking! Okay, I think we've unlocked everyone. Okay, first Valessa. Yes. Valessa leads me through Museo to some sort of hidden cove area. There's a large ship and it looks like some sort of dock with no signs of life. Stashes of treasure lay about and it's apparent that this place has been abandoned.
After we returned, I got talking to the pirates. You know, to pick up any information on our parents. It turns out this is their base of operations. Their HQ. Kind of funny, isn't it? We both ended up having HQs in Museo. But, to be honest, that's where I'd like the similarities to end. The more I learn about them, the more I hate them.
I wouldn't go that far. You still love them, you just may not like them.
They kept running off to Museo and left us in Salus's hands. Now that I think about it, he raised us more than they ever did. I guess they were more interested in this life of piracy. It's awful.
She looks around the cove, taking in the environment.
I wanted to come here with you to face the truth. Our parents were bad people. There's no denying it. They wanted this to be their legacy, rather than us.
She starts to walk around the area and I follow behind her.
Look at all this junk they valued more than us. Weapons, money, more money, and lame scrolls. Maps to some far-off treasure and riches, I'm sure.
Picking up a handful of coins, she throws them into the nearby water.
Sorry for going off like that. It just makes me really angry. We idolized them for so long, thinking the world lost good people. But to realize that maybe the world is better off without them? It's hard. Anyway, thanks for coming along with me. I just thought it would be good to do this together. I don't know how Fortin would handle it, if I'm honest.
Yeah, Morty is a lot more of a wild card when it comes to that. She turns to face me with a hint of a smile on her face.
You know, I realized I'm different from all of these rebels. They've been living oppressed in the shadow of the Triumvirate. But it was never the Triumvirate that held me back. It was always myself. I wanted to be a person who can make my parents proud. I wanted to do what society demanded of me. I wanted to be perfect. But this was a real wake-up call. Nobody is perfect. We're all flawed at heart. To realize that and embrace it, I think that's all I needed to do. I feel like now I can be who I want. And not who other people want me to be. It feels like such a small thing, but a different perspective can change a lot, you know?
Oh yeah, definitely, man. I nod.
Well then, wanna take a look around? If we can find anything to help us in Baltaus, then it's not a total loss. I'm sure there's something around here that we can take along with us.
She starts rummaging through various crates and sacks. I do the same as her, but find nothing of note except money. It could help after the war, but right now we needed something more.
Hey, look what I found.
Oh shit! She pulls out a pair of daggers and starts inspecting them.
I think I remember these. Back when I was a kid, I swear I saw them. That means they must have belonged to my parents. Or my mother, to be exact. Just an intuition, so I can't say for sure. But I'd be willing to bet that my hunch is correct.
Hey, get him!
Did you find anything good, Monarch?
I shake my head. There wasn't anything of note. Aside from those daggers, none of it was helpful.
What do you say? Should I keep them? Might come in handy when we attacked Baltaus.
Well, that was a good question, actually. She came here to move on from her parents. Taking their stuff could just be a constant reminder. On the other hand, however, maybe she can make them her own. It was hard to tell whether or not this would help her or hinder her in the future. But with our final battle almost upon us, I'm afraid I couldn't afford a mistake. Keep them, Valessa, make them your own. Leave them behind, you deserve to move on. I say make them your own.
Make them my own, huh? I think I like the sound of that.
Hell yeah. She puts the daggers in the leather strap on her back. Returning with a smile, it seems she's ready to head home.
Well, I guess now I need to focus on the important stuff. What kind of person do I want to be after this war is over? I'm no longer held back by anything, so I guess my dreams are the limit.
Hell yeah! She takes a deep breath of relief as if a massive weight was now gone. I totally understand this was a big deal for her, and for me as well.
Should we head back then? I guess you have other things to tend to. Truth be told, I needed this. Thank you.
No problem. With that, we are on our way out of the cove. She faced her past in that moment and came out even stronger. I have no doubt that she'd continue to grow into an amazing woman. Before we leave for good, I turn back and look around once more. Then we blow it up! I'm joking. This is where our parents conducted most of their business. That means this is the closest I've been to them in decades. Goodbye. Good riddance, too. But isn't that the most badass thing? I was raised by pirates. Anyway. Let's go, Morty! Morty takes me back to Vallenorth and we look at the Grand Tree. It makes sense that he'd want to accomplish his lifelong dream before the final battle. With those metallic claws he found in Museo, I think he could finally achieve what he wanted. And of course he wanted me to achieve it with him. I'm grateful that he chose me, but I'm also a little worried. Is this really something I can pull off, even with those tools?
Well, I guess this is it. I can't leave for Baltaus with any regrets. So I'm finally going to do it. I'll climb the Grand Tree.
Let's do it.
And with someone like you, no less. Think they'll talk about this in the history books? I mean, I don't think anybody else has done this before.
Maybe in the, Vallenorth history books, but everyone else probably doesn't give a fuck. We're going to be the first.
Here, you need to put these on like gloves. There's another pair that goes on your feet as well. After that, we just climb. We don't need to find footholds. Being able to create them ourselves? Now that's a good invention. I gotta give credit where credit is due. The Zayans know what they're doing. Don't tell anybody, though. These might very well be under the trade ban.
Fair enough. He gives me a quick wink. It's alright, though. I won't tell anybody.
It looks way taller than I remember. I'd try to give you some advice, but I don't have any. With those tools, this should be pretty easy. At least, I hope.
We're gonna die.
Just don't fall, Monarch. I don't know if you could survive something like that. I've fallen from way shorter trees and been in pain for months.
He sure is great at instilling confidence.
Well then, got everything ready? Let's find a good starting point and do this. And don't forget that there's a kiss on the line.
Boom!
So let's consider this a race. Are you ready?
Nope. He enters the stance that implies that he's ready to begin. I nod to let him know that I'm ready and assume the same stance. We make our way to the base of the Grand Tree and look up. This is the first time I realize how tall it actually is. Would we really be able to make it to the top? A doubt wells up within me, but I don't voice it.
I bet I'll be the first one there.
Yeah. With that said, he digs his claws into the tree and starts to climb. I watch him for a few moments before replicating the actions to the tree. After a few minutes of doing this, we're extremely far from the surface.
Scared of heights? Make sure not to look down. I, for one, love the view. This is part of why I do it. Hey, no fair! I was taking a breather. Didn't think you'd be the type to play dirty.
Hell yeah. He laughs. We scale the tree at almost the same rate. I can't imagine doing this without these claw-like tools. In fact, they make this pretty easy. There's no risk of falling. Bitch! It allows me to take a step back and admire Morty's skill. He was climbing trees his entire life without this kind of aid. I suddenly appreciate his every stumble and fall, his every bruise. As we get higher and higher, we start to get enveloped in a canopy of leaves. We aren't quite high enough that they've become red, but it's still an impressive sight. It blocks us from seeing the village below us, but it's beautiful to look at regardless. It really helps solidify just where we are. We're scaling the grand tree. Nobody has done this before, and it's been his dream for decades now. However, due to his challenge, the competitive spirit starts appearing within me. At the rate we're going, I could very well beat him to the top. In fact, if it was a race, that would pretty much be the point. But this was still his dream, and he might deserve the moment. Let him win. I decide to intentionally throw my progress. Morty deserves to win. I feel like it's only fair. As we get higher, we reach the blood leaves on high. When we reach the final stretch, I fake a small stumble. Nothing to put myself in danger, just enough to cause a slight delay. After Morty has gotten far enough up, I get myself back on track. Not much longer before we reach the top, but he's clearly victorious. He laughs and sits on a massive branch big enough to support both our weight. I follow him up there and sit beside him, taking a huge sigh of relief. We did it.
I can't believe we did it, Monarch! And of course, I had a feeling that I'd win. Never think you can rise above the master.
Oh yeah. He smiles and inches a bit closer towards me as we sit on the branch.
Look at that view. I know we can't see the village, but these leaves? I never thought I'd get to see them up close like this before.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen them when they wilt and fall off. But being up here and seeing them fresh? Wow. I wish I could take some with me, but I know I can't.
He runs his hands through some of the blood leaves, clearly in awe.
You know, this doesn't feel like I thought it would. I thought it'd feel amazing, like I'd become a different person. But I feel just like I did before. I guess that's how things go, huh?
Yep.
Oh well, at least that's one more thing I can cross off my list. A bit anticlimactic, but I don't really know what I was expecting. Maybe it's like Eastcrown, just the allure of the unreachable.
Yeah. He inches a bit closer to me and rests his head on my shoulder. I can't see his face, but I can tell he's wearing the widest smile.
You know, this is a bit different than that back alley in Mazeo. I'm glad that we have more privacy, now we can do this together. When we first left Valinor, I had no idea we'd become this close to each other.
Oh yeah?
Not that it's an unwelcome change. Trust me, I always thought about this. But back then, a scribe in training dating someone like you was frowned upon. Look how much has changed. The entire world is nothing like we thought it was. You know, I used to come to this tree and listen for the spirits. I thought that if I listened closely, they might talk to me, you know? But they didn't. And now I know what that silence truly meant. All of us were held back by the triumvirate. But now we're strong, and unified in purpose. I know that together, there's nothing we can't do. And it's all the more special because I have you by my side. You're the woman I love.
Ha! Gay!
Change that.
I'm
following you to the ends of the world, to the highest reaches of the skies. And I'll have your hand the entire time.
He slowly reaches down to my hand and intertwines his fingers with mine. Now I kind of feel bad for trying to bang everyone. Then he brings my hand up to his face and gives the top a soft kiss.
I wish this moment could last forever. But that would be selfish of me. We have stuff to do. Thankfully, we'll always have this memory. It's perfect.
He looks around the area one last time, admiring the view he may never see again.
Well, should we get back down to the surface? I don't want to waste much time up here. We're busy and all that. It means a lot to me that we could share this moment. I'll never forget it.
With that, he starts to climb back down. I follow after him and make our way to the surface. It feels weird to be down here after being so high up.
So, what's next on the agenda? You know what? Never mind. You do you. I'll be around if you need me for any reason at all.
He walks away with a big smile on his face. I guess a dream of his came true on that day. When we got to Baltaus, he'd have no regrets. Alright, Pro! Pro leads me to Museo's town square without saying much. I'm not sure what's going on, but he seems happier than usual. Things must be going well for him. I hope it's something good. After a while, he rests his back against a nearby house. Tapping his foot, it looks like he's waiting for something.
Okay, Monarch, you're not going to believe this. I got some information about my parents the other day. After pulling a few strings, I was able to set up a meeting.
Damn! That's actually a huge deal. I'm really happy for him.
As far as I know, it's just my dad. I think my mom was under the weather or something. But at this point, I'll take whatever I can get. I'm so excited!
Shit, they're not gonna show, are they?
I'll finally get to ask him what happened. Do you think I have any brothers or sisters? Wait, don't answer that. I'll keep my hopes low.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing to do. He has a huge smile on his face, and I can understand why. This is something he's been looking forward to his entire life. Fuck, they're not gonna show and I'm gonna cry. The ability to meet his parents and find out why they abandoned him.
I almost don't believe this is happening. For the last decade, I've had eyes and ears everywhere. People run around Museo gathering information for me to sell.
Kicking my heart in the dick.
I prefer to do all the work myself, but anything extra is a huge benefit. I'm good at selling, so they provide the info, and then we share the profit. When we got back from Alarencia, one of them had a bunch of stuff to share. And one of them was the one piece of information I've been waiting to hear. My parents were alive and living in Museo all those years, and they were so close. I bought the information from him myself. I paid more than I have for anything else in my life. But you can't put a price on this kind of stuff, you know? My future and my heart is on the line. This is a big deal. I hope we don't have to wait too much longer.
Fuck this game. That much was made evident by his constant rambling. I press my back against the wall with him, and we wait together. We talk about random subjects, anything to pass the time for now. But after a while, finding topics to discuss became a little harder. That's not because our bond was weak, but because we've run out of topics. The time of the meeting approaches, and then fades away. Nobody arrived.
I guess he's running a bit late. It happens. I can't hold it against him.
Kill me! He smiles. It's an incredibly nervous smile. He knows deep down inside that his words may not be true. A couple more hours pass, but I don't abandon his side, not even once.
Any moment now.
After a while, we slump down and sit on the ground. His naive hope starts to dissipate into a harsh realization. But I can tell he doesn't want to admit it, so we continue to sit. Bro, I have been there so many fucking times. I have waited for him to show up and he never did. As the sun sets, people start to retreat to their homes. I can tell that he's tired, and so am I. I close my eyes for a few moments. It wouldn't hurt to doze off for a little bit. I just need to make sure I don't leave him. I awaken a while later, unsure of the time. But it's dark. It must be the dead of night. Pro rests beside me, snoring softly, asleep. I know that in his slumber he doesn't have to face the facts. His dad never came. But why? Was he too afraid to follow through? Pro has a smile on his face. I could tell that he's still hopeful, even in sleep. But he can't sleep forever. He needs to wake up and face this. Giving him a soft nudge, he wakes up, but then my heart is broken. He thinks I woke him up because his dad arrived and looks around ecstatic. But then he realizes it's just me and him. His ears fold back and he laughs. almost like he's not surprised. I knew this would be hard for him to face, but he was abandoned again.
I guess I should have expected this.
He sighs and crosses his arms.
You know, I thought I'd give them the option. They could come meet me when they were ready and willing. Other than that, my only option was to just march into their home.
We should have done that.
Courtesy just ends up stabbing me in the back. He said he'd be here, Monarch. He said he would. And I trusted him.
We can burn down their house right now. You said you know where their house is. Burn that bitch! He growls and punches the nearby wall in a fit of rage.
It's not fair!
He grunts in pain and stands there panting. A few tears start to stream from his eyes.
Why don't they love me?
I step forward and place a comforting arm on his shoulder. He starts crying a bit more, but I let him know I'm here for him.
I just wanted a family. More than anything, I want to belong. It hurts so much. They don't want me.
Bro, your blood makes you related. Your bond is what makes you family. Fuck them. I'm gonna kill them. Okay? That's all you need for closure. The dead. Boom. That's it.
I want to know why they threw me away. It's all I've ever wanted to know. It's why I do what I do. I don't know if I can live the rest of my life without knowing the truth.
Man, make up some shit. They were shitty people who couldn't take care of you, so they ditched you because that was the best thing for you, okay? That way, you know that they were shitty people, but they loved you enough to give you to somebody who would take care of you. Boom. The only reason is the reason you need to make up for yourself at this point. Fuck them. He starts to calm down, and soon enough the tears fade. I can tell he's super conflicted. He really wants to meet his parents. But they don't want to meet him. There's really nothing he can do. It was cruel to schedule a meeting, then not follow through. Bitch, story of my life, you're not I'm joking. But I'm actually not. His dad must have gotten cold feet, or maybe his mother needed attention. Under the weather could have been any number of meetings, not many of them good. Either way, it's evident that his pursuit of the truth is causing him more harm than not. If he wasn't meant to know the truth, then perhaps he should focus on moving forward. After that, he had a loving family in the rebellion. We would never abandon him like this.
I just don't know what I should do.
Keep pushing to learn the truth. If they don't come to you, then go to them. Burn down their house is what that means to me. Let them go. You have a true family with the Brilliant. I tell him to let go of his parents. He has a true family and all of his allies. Blood isn't what makes you family, it's love, acceptance, and understanding. His parents wouldn't give him that. Then perhaps he should be abandoning them.
Let them go?
He seems surprised, like nobody has suggested this to him before.
I know, you're right. I've tried, but it's really hard. What happened here today might change things, though. After everything I've tried, maybe this is the wake-up call I needed. Thanks, Monarch.
He smiles at me. I'm glad I could help him, even if it's only a little bit.
So, should we get going then? I guess you have a lot of things to do. Given that, I'm really glad that you came with me. I don't know how I would have handled this alone. Having you by my side, it makes me stronger. And if there's anything I need right now, it's strength.
With that, we start to walk away from the town square. It pained me to see him go through this. Nobody should feel abandoned. But at the end of the day, he had people like me to stand by his side and help. So no matter what happened, he'd never be alone. Alright, Sovy. Sovy leads me to a boat and takes me on a short voyage. I have no idea where we're going, and our destination surprises me. It's not a place I've seen on any map. It looks unlike anything I've seen before. Bro, it looks like we're in the Wild West. I follow behind him, unsure of where we'll even end up. After a while, he turns to face me. I ask him for an explanation. I trusted him enough to follow him here, but I had my limits.
I know that we're almost at the end, Monarch. It won't be much longer before we arrive on Baltean soil. So, it only makes sense that I show you
Oh, this
where
is his hometown,
everything
right?
began.
He gestures broadly at everything behind him.
I come from this backwater town, born and raised. It was wiped off the map after all the villagers were murdered. Given time, it might have even become the 5th nation of Valessa.
Damn.
But that was long ago, and nobody remembers this place. My parents were in charge of the area. They were incredibly wealthy. They had a force of men working the mines, cheap labor, and big profits.
Oh, they were that kind of shitty. Seems like Sovy was finally opening up to me. That was important. I needed to know that he could be trusted. And if things went well, his loyalty to our cause would be confirmed.
As their son, they had me oversee all of this labor. It was my job to make sure everybody hit their goals. I performed admirably and put my foot down when needed.
He walks towards a nearby house and puts his hand on it. Taking in a loud breath, I could tell he's reliving unpleasant memories.
Everything was going well, until the truth came out. The people who raised me weren't my parents. Not even close. They killed my parents while I was an infant and took over this town.
Bro, what the fuck?
Raising me as their own, our relationship was built on a lie. I was serving killers and usurpers. When I found out, I felt nothing but rage. They stole this land and the lives of its rightful rulers. Such an injustice.
Okay, now I see where he gets that I must serve the rightful ruler thing. The hand he was resting on the house slowly turns into a clenched fist.
I don't know what came over me, to be honest. I killed everybody. My so-called parents and all of the workers. I was lied to by those who swore they loved me.
Oh, so
I couldn't take it.
you murdered the entire fucking town.
By rule of inheritance, in that moment, this town became mine. But there was nobody else, and I was all by myself. I no longer wanted to live. I took myself to the cliff's edge and thought about throwing myself into the ocean.
He turns back to face me, and I could see how sad he really is.
That's when Ulrich found me. He made sure I didn't do anything stupid. I don't know how he came across me when he did. I thought it could be Providence. But he saved me, and I told him everything. Instead of scolding me, he praised me. I was shocked. I expected to be dragged to the nearest prison. But he took me right to the Triumvirate and told them my story. That's when they wanted me to become his apprentice. I accepted. My desire for justice was something they wanted on their side. But I no longer fought for my home village. I fought for all of Valessa. I swore an oath to them that I would always fight for the rulers of this world. At the time, I believed it was them. But learning the truth of the monarchy, it just opened old wounds. I saw the Triumvirate in a new light, much like I saw my so-called parents. Once more, the desire for justice rose to the forefront of my mind. You may think my allegiance changed and that it was a sudden shift, but it's not true. I've always fought for the same thing. It's just that sometimes the tables need a little turning.
He crosses his arms and seems to be done talking for now. He leads me further into the village and I follow, trusting him more. We eventually end up at a large building, one that serves as the town hall.
You may notice the bloodstains, but don't worry. I threw all the bodies off a cliff with Ulrich. You won't be seeing anything gruesome, I can assure you.
Well, by now, since y'all are hundreds of fucking years old, they'd be nothing more than skeletal or dirt. One odd way to put my mind at ease.
This is where my parents lived. I was never really allowed in. I guess I should stop calling them my parents. They were more like captors. I longed to see the world, but I obeyed them out of a feeling of loyalty. I slaved away. Sometimes I'd sneak into my father's office and peel the stamps off of his letters. They were incoming letters, so it's not like they had any use. I started to collect them. I stuck them to my bedroom wall and told myself that one day I'd go and see those places. One day, I wanted to be free.
He lets out a loud sigh.
I thought I was free when the triumvirate took me in. But it turns out I just traded one form of bondage for another. Shackles moved from my wrists to my heart. I don't know which is worse.
He holds a hand close to his heart.
They pressed the blade against my chest and gave me some of its power. It allowed me to use it as my own, and gave me what they deemed eternal life. Ulrich grew to see this as an awful curse, but I embraced it. And to this day, I still do. I see myself as a defender. I want to protect the reign of Alestia's true rulers. If the monarchy is restored to power, I will protect you and all of your descendants. You have my word, and you know why I served the enemy. My virtue was simply misplaced. But now it rests with you, the true heir to the throne of Alestia. And that is where it shall remain, as long as I've proven my loyalty to you. Knowing everything that you do you trust me to protect you in battle?
Yes, Sovy, I trust you now. You've earned it.
Thank you very much, Monarch. I knew I picked the right way to tell you the truth. If we did this anywhere else, it might have fallen flat.
For real. He smiles, and I can tell he's extremely relieved.
I needed to get this off my chest before our attack on Baltaus. Not knowing whether I had your trust, it was too much. We're comrades now, though, and I'm no longer worried.
Hell yeah, my man. With that, it seems like our business here is done. The choice to trust me with his past and confide in me meant a lot. None of my comrades had to carry their burdens alone. We were in this together.
Let's get back to Mazeo, all right? I'm sure there's lots to do before the end. Thanks for joining me, but I think we need to leave.
We start walking back the way we came and head to our boat. This place was wiped clean off the map. I had no idea that it existed. Makes me wonder just what else the world could be hiding. Before we get on the boat, I look back at the town one last time. After the war was over, maybe we could rebuild this place and grow it. A new nation with new rules. If we had the opportunity, we should seize it. We start to sail away and leave this place behind us for now. But I know Sovy better than I did before, and that could only bring good. He was carrying a weight on his shoulders, and it was no longer there. Alright. this. I stand alone in my room, swinging the blade from side to side. Hold on. Just like my back. Everything feels different than it did back at the start of my journey. When I first touched the blade, I could barely even hold on to it. But now I'm starting to master it. I'm able to make it my own. However, just as I think that, the blade disappears from my hand. Ulrich laughs and I turn around. I didn't even notice him come in.
Sorry, it's just an old prank I used to pull on Sovy. I take the blade from him when he least expected it. I guess it has a time and place. Sorry if I startled you.
Nah, man, that was actually kind of funny. He swings the blade a few times before handing it back to me. I shake my head. He didn't startle me. It was actually kind of funny.
I came here because I assumed you wanted answers. Learning I was the Grand Inquisitor must have been a shock. I'm glad you have a clear head. You could tell that I've changed.
I nod.
But you deserve to know what I was like before I changed. In order to hide from my past, I haven't exactly been honest. But I wasn't lying to you. It was more like I was lying to myself.
In a way, it sort of makes sense. I just decide to let him talk. He approaches me and sits down on the bed. I sit beside him.
There was a man named Ulrich in Alarinthian legend. He pledged to change the nation, just like I always have. The barbaric way of running things was too much for him to bear. A lot of the specific details have been lost to time, but it goes like this. He was young, and his parents wanted the same thing, so they fought for it. They died in the arena, and Ulrich couldn't handle it. He ran away from the nation.
Oh, so that's you, I guess?
He pledged to return one day, and change Alarinthia for good. The ideals passed on to him by his parents still live on to this day. That's likely what inspired Vivian to launch his own insurrection. Of course, the story that's handed down is never really the truth. To put it bluntly, I'm the same Ulrich. It's been so long, it's hard to believe. I'm sure you had your suspicions, so I just came here to confirm them for you.
Yeah. It's actually a bit hard to believe, but I let him continue.
My parents hated the way the nation was run. They passed that hatred down onto me as I grew up. But they got older. Before too long, they were decrepit. They could never change anything. So the burden was passed on to me, a rising star in the Colosseum. I never fought for leadership, just regular tournaments, but I never lost. One day, I guess the Triumvirate noticed how strong I was. They approached me. They told me that if I left Alarinthia behind, they'd train me. They'd give me the power to return one day and change everything. I was young and naive. I agreed without hesitation. I wanted to serve our gods. But before they accepted me, I had to prove that I was truly ready. Serving them would involve leaving everything behind. It'd be a fresh start. They devised a test for me, to make sure that I was truly ready to devote myself. They,
Made you kill your parents? He gulps like he's afraid to tell me what happens next.
They made me kill my parents.
Boom! Called it! He looks down at the floor.
In their eyes, it told them that I was truly ready to leave my old life behind. Because I was young and stupid, it made a twisted kind of sense in my head. I did what they told me to. But as they died, I told them I was making their dream a reality. I was caught and exiled into the desert. That's how I became a Sixer. I survived the trials, was branded with this tattoo, and showed my worth. And their test was over. They took me over to Baltaus and made me their servant. I served them by weeding out insurrections and ensuring they remained in power. After what seemed like an eternity, they came up with the idea of giving me an apprentice. That's when I met Sovy. They preyed on his weakness and naivety much like they did mine. We worked together, traveling the world and killing the Triumvirate's enemies. Eventually, I realized that they weren't good people. I defected and joined the rebellion. If the timeline seems confusing, it's because it is. We are talking about millennia here.
Damn. He lived for a millennia.
They gave us the gift of immortality. Well, they called it a gift. We would never succumb to old age, and mortal wounds would easily fade. I felt unstoppable, like I was the king of the world. Nothing could get in my way.
He shrugs, clearly embarrassed at admitting such a fact.
But after a while, I realized it was a curse. It's crazy how much your perspective can shift so fast. Taking the dream of immortality into real life, it became a nightmare.
Bro, I don't even want to live now. Why the fuck would I want to live forever? With a slight scoff, he stands up and turns around to face me.
They knew what they were doing. They were creating slaves. Using that blade, they gave us what they deemed eternal life. I know we can use the blade too, but we can't reverse it. That should have been the first sign. I thought we did this willingly, but we really had no choice. It was all or nothing, an ultimatum. The biggest red flag.
For real.
I've had this curse for far too long. It's made me a bad person. I no longer seek love, because everybody I love is just lost to time. I no longer seek happiness, because it's never permanent. Never. These fleeting emotions may mean a lot to you, but not me. It's an endless cycle of building myself up only to be cut back down. I thought I'd be like this until the world rotted away. Until I met you, that is.
He smiles.
Now there's somebody else who can use the blade. Somebody to lift this curse and give me my life back. My life belongs to your cause, Monarch, not theirs. So please, give me that life. Then, after that, I can give it to you.
I could remove the curse the Triumvirate put on him. That would be good, but then he'd be weak and vulnerable. No doubt the source of his strength is partly due to his immortality. If I remove it, he could perish during our attack on Baltaus, and easily. It would be removing his biggest advantage, and I'm not sure what to do. He looks at me, awaiting my response. I don't know what to say next. This kind of reminds me of, if y'all have seen Aladdin, how the genie wanted to be free, and like, it didn't help Ali because he could have used that last wish, but the right thing to do, because I love freaking Robin Williams, is to remove the curse. I tell him I'll remove the curse. After the battle, that's what I would love. His face lights up like I've never seen before.
Thank you. So much.
We can do this after the battle, right? I grab the blade and try to figure out what to do. One thing was for sure, he'd soon have his life back. Would he just, like, wither away and die? He would have the freedom to grow old and finally find peace. Before he leaves my room, I make sure that his dream becomes a reality. Domek? Yes. Domek leads me to the town square of Mazea. Because of our recent conversations, I know what's going on. He's taking me to the spot where he lost his mother during the occupation. It must be hard on him. I could see him shaking as we walked through the town. But if facing this painful memory helped him move on, it was my duty to assist him. Duty, ha. In the coming storm, he needed to be resolute. Helping him would help us all.
I can't thank you enough for coming with me, Monarch. There's not many people I trust this much. I'm really glad I have you. Until today, I've only had dreams about doing this, but now I'm strong enough. And honestly, it's all because of you. I give a little credit to my near-death experience, but not all of it. You've grown into a capable leader and led us all down the right path.
He smiles, and I smiled back at him. It was nice to receive some support after all we've been through. Being the monarch wasn't very easy, but it's a weight I had to carry. Heavy as the head that wears the crown. We walked through the town square, taking back alleys for occasional shortcuts. After a while, we end up at a large open area. I'm surprised they haven't built shops here.
This is where town meetings are held. They don't happen very often, but they need a big open space. There's a lot of people in Mazeo, so everyone deserves a chance to attend.
Fair enough. Soon after that, however, his tone becomes more serious.
A lot of bodies in one place. That's just what they needed during the occupation. This is where it happened, Monarch. The stuff with my mother.
I nod at him as we take a few steps closer towards the center.
You may notice a crimson tint on the ground here. This is where they piled the bodies during the attack. So much blood. So much carnage. Permanently stained. Just like the memories in my head. As hard as I try, I can't just scrub those off either. Every other night, I wake up in a cold sweat, crying. I feel the lingering touch of her hand against mine. Then, the moment she goes away, it makes me feel empty inside. There's nothing left to feel, except all those corpses pressed against me. A warmth that slowly dissipates, leaving me cold and alone. I had to stay under them until things died down. Almost a whole day. The moment I could, I got out and took her pendant along with me. It's all I have to remember her by, but perhaps that's why I can't let it go. How can you move on from something when you remind yourself of it every day? Just the thought, of course. But after all I've been through, at least it's a thought with merit.
I mean, you could bury it somewhere, and then, like, in the future, like, if you have kids or something, you can dig it up and give it to them, and then it kind of, like, they don't understand the full meaning of it. Just say it belonged to your grandmother, so then it gives them hope, and you kind of see, like, a future. He holds up his hand and shows me the pendant he's holding. I've seen it a few times now. He seems to carry it with him everywhere. Of course, as he suggested, that also means he carries the memory along as well.
Let's keep moving. I'll show you exactly where it happened. Just stay close to me, okay? This is hard.
I nod and start to follow him as we venture deeper into the open area. A podium rests at the center, likely where they'd hold these meetings from. Soon, I picture what this place would look like during the occupation. I cringe. After a while, Dominic stops dead in his tracks and looks down at the ground. His body language and reaction tells me that this is exactly where his trauma happened. I position myself right behind him and wait for him to speak. I couldn't rush him now.
Well, this is it.
He clutches the pendant close to his chest.
Would you sit with me, Monarch? We might be here for a while after all.
No prob. He sits down on the ground, attracting some stares from a few passers-by. I join him, caring more for his well-being than the judgment of those around us. Yeah, fuck them. Looking down at the ground, he places the pendant down and moves it around slightly.
It was right here, I think. You never really forget, you know. I hope it's not weird to sit here with me.
Fuck it, why not? I shake my head and let him do what he needs to do.
Coming here to face what happened. I needed to do this. But now I'm not sure what to do next. I mean, with the pendant. Do I leave it behind? Just like my memories, or do I hold on?
It was a good question. I could tell it's bothering him.
I'm sure someone will just come around and steal it anyway. But maybe that's for the best. It can be somebody else's burden. I think I've grown tired of carrying it around for my entire life. However, I also don't want to regret doing this. I could be acting rashly in the face of our final battle. It wouldn't be the first time somebody has done that, you know.
I nod and let him speak.
Look at me. The world is at stake, and I'm worried about this. You know what? With everything you've done for us, I trust you. What do you think I should do, Monarch? Take it or leave it? Besides, I'm a bit biased here in almost every regard. Your head is more clear than mine, so it's worth a shot. What do you think I should do here? What's the right choice?
Honestly, if I were me in this situation and there was no selected answer, I would say either bury it somewhere and, like, write it down on a piece of paper or something and then just put that away forever until you forget about it. And then, like, if you find it again one day, then go get it and see, like, who you are now and, like, reflect. Or, I would say give it to me and I could keep it until, and, like, hide it away somewhere until you feel like you're ready, and then I could bring it back. But, oh fuck. I think those two both go on with keep it, because, I mean, it would still be with him, essentially, but it also leave it, because he's not with him. Honestly, from the dialogue, it feels like he really wants to just leave it, so leave it.
You're right. I think this is something I need to do. It'll be hard, but I need to move on. I can't hold myself back. We're fighting to liberate our world and push forward, right?
Yep.
It's a bit hypocritical for me to do the opposite to myself. I hope whoever picks it up goes on to take good care of it. It means a lot to me, and I hope it can do that for others too.
Hell yeah. He places his hand on the pendant, touching it one last time.
It's time for me to let go, Mother. This was always yours. I was just holding on to it for a while. I'll miss you always, but your sacrifice for me will never be forgotten.
He smiles and lets go of the pendant. It shimmers in the sun. We both stand up and turn back in the direction we came from.
Well then, should we get going?
I nod and we start walking back to the way we came. But Dominic looks much happier and content than he did earlier. Perhaps the events of today would give him a clear mind in the future. Our final battle was imminent. We would find out sooner rather than later. Okay, I think this is the last one, right? Hal enters my quarters carrying an aura of purpose with him. After East Crown, I know that something big has been on his mind. One sec. I think I got a bug bite on my toe. Fuck, I got a bug bite on my toe. We were so close to the final battle, it was probably time for us to talk.
Monarch, we must speak with you. It's about our upcoming attack on Baltaus. At least we think it is. Things have become complicated.
Complicated?
We may be walking into a trap. This may be all part of the Triumvirate's plan.
What plan?
Take their blade, feed it power, and then bring it back. This may be what they've wanted all along. We've seen it. Everything we've done has only made their weapon stronger.
Tell me.
They let us steal their blade. They wanted it to happen. They knew we'd bring it here, feed it death, and tap into the idol. But not only that, we're bringing it right back to them, stronger than ever. You may think we are wrong, that this is just a foolish theory, but we must only look into the visions to realize the truth. That, combined with some of your actions, like clockwork.
What do you mean by clockwork?
It's almost like sometimes you have no other choice. You say or do things that push us down a certain path, but more often than not, that path leads us to death. How convenient, then, that the blade feeds off of death. In your hands, it has gotten more powerful than ever before. But what force, what invisible hand, guides us down this path?
The developers?
It's quite simple, but we were always looking at it the wrong way. Venturing into East Crown and seeing that ship made us realize that, when we approached things from a different angle, it all made sense.
Perhaps you could start making sense to me then?
We've been struggling with visions of these different pasts. They seem to come out of nowhere and complicate things. Until recently, we only had to process visions of the future.
He crosses his arms.
At least, that's what we thought.
I take a step forward, interested to see where he's going with this.
But now we realize we've never seen the future at all. It's impossible to see what has not yet been written, but it is easy to see what has already happened.
Now he's lost me.
These visions of different pasts aren't as out of place as we thought. You were told you had visions of the future and chose to believe that fact. But they are not visions of the future. They, too, are simply different pasts.
What? Oh, I kind of get what he's saying.
The key to all of this is the Blade of Exodus. It's a constant in every vision. But the power within it varies, even when it shouldn't. There are inconsistencies. Even if we have a vision of the same situation, the power inside the blade is different. The Triumvirate has some sort of dominion over time. That much is clear. They possess the ability to grant their subjects eternal life, like Ulrich and Sovy. We need to operate under the assumption that this ability can be used in other ways.
He eyes the blade on my back.
Mainly, in a way that could be used to strengthen the Blade of Exodus. They could create a cycle full of death and despair that we are unable to break. When the cycle reaches an end, they could revert time and gather that power all over again. The visions of the future you thought you were having, they aren't what you thought. We believe they are visions of cycles in the past. Perhaps cycles where we have perished. Did your visions of the future involve your death in any way? Think about this, Monarch.
Yeah, a lot. Now that he mentions it, they did. I was stabbed by Sovy in the vision that started all of this. After touching the blade, a series of visions ended up with me getting stabbed. That's odd. You tell him these stories and he smirks. It seems I'm only confirming his outlandish theories.
Those were visions of past cycles, Monarch. Cycles where we failed. When we look at it like this, these different pasts make perfect sense. We've been looking at them all wrong, that is, until just recently. It seems that we retain some prior knowledge from these cycles. Perhaps that is why we act in certain ways, as if we have no options. In the back of our mind, we're pushing ourselves in the same direction.
Cycles, directions? Please explain.
We think the Triumvirate is manipulating time. They are doing this in order to make the blade even stronger. The occupation, the formation of the rebellion, and the attack in the tunnels. All of those casualties simply serve to give the blade more power. We have no doubt that many will perish when we assault Baltaus as well. But when the time comes, they can simply make it happen all over again.
It's almost too much to comprehend. Kind of makes me think to Major Minor, because I did play that game on my own. And it makes me think of, like, it's been years and years and years. I played it back in 2016, I think. And, it makes me think of that hyena. Of course I remember the hyena, because hyena. Plus he was hot. Anyway, I think there was a lot to do with, like, controlling time and freezing time and that. I don't remember much of it, honestly. So that could be, like, relating. I'm thinking maybe they wanted to relate to past titles, I guess. This is almost too much to comprehend.
It makes sense when you think about it, especially with these tunnels. Those suits of armor knew exactly how to fortify this place for your army. They must have retained their knowledge and adapted each and every time. But only one question remains unanswered. Why? Why do they want to make this blade even stronger? What is their endgame? What do they desire? It is very possible that we are walking into a trap. That is, unless the blade has enough power to defeat them. Their plan, if it's as I expect, is a double-edged sword.
What do you mean?
An infinite cycle created specifically to power the blade. There must be a cycle, a prime cycle, where we have the power to defeat them. A point where the blade is strong enough for us to win, but not yet strong enough for them. All we can do is hope that we've reached that cycle. The power in that blade is immense, but is it enough? Hopefully you understand what we are trying to say.
You want us to, like, kill a bunch of people? He's trying to tell me that we're trapped in some sort of time loop. A loop that the Triumvirate fashioned in order to give the blade power. Not only that, but I never saw the future. I only saw paled fast endeavors. It's hard to believe, but death has definitely followed me and my allies. If their goal was to feed the blade with power, then they have certainly succeeded. But how far back does this cycle go? Could it reach as far back as the occupation? Wait a minute. Attack Mazeo, kill innocents, and incite a rebellion. Attack that rebellion, provoke them into attacking your home, then destroy them. With what Hal said, it almost does seem likely that we're walking into a trap. This can't be.
The reason we see these things is because of the energy within us. It makes us sensitive in a way that others are not. We are both special, but I don't think visions are the only benefit of this power. There is more. Perhaps you see a flash of events that are happening elsewhere. Perhaps you can relive a conversation that has already happened. These echoes of past cycles manifest themselves in many ways. But when we look at it this way, everything makes sense. Everything has an explanation, and nothing is left up in the air. The only question is, do you believe us? Do you think we are correct?
I'll say I believe you, because it follows the timeline, right?
Good. We knew you would see the truth of things. This was an impossible matter to discuss with anybody else. We are special. And now we finally understand the reason why.
He turns to leave, but tilts his head back to address me one more time. I guess he wanted to leave no stone unturned before our attack on Baltaus.
The Triumvirate is up to something. That much is clear. If it aligns with our theory, at least you will be able to act. Getting caught off guard would damage us beyond repair. That is not something we want our monarch to endure. Be prepared for anything, for the enemy will stop at nothing. If you can do this, then perhaps our victory will be more likely.
With that said, he sees himself out of my room. All that came out of nowhere. I'm not sure how to react. But one thing is clear, there was much we didn't know. But would we learn the truth in Baltaus? Or would we even make it that far? I don't know. I start to feel uneasy, even with all this new knowledge. Could we really have been fundamentally wrong about everything? As I go about my business, it's impossible to shake that thought out of my head. Okay, so it looks like I did all of the loyalties. It's funny that Sovy doesn't have a little doodad. Wait, what is this? Oh, I must have done something wrong. Okay. Anyway, that looks... I'll check and see what I can see. If I can't, fuck it. At this point, I think we're about ready for Baltaus. So I think that this series is going to wrap up in the next 2-3 episodes max. So I'm really excited to see how this ends. There's a lot of build-up going on here. I hope it'll go good. I don't know how many of my people are going to die, but it's probably going to be quite substantial. Anyway, if you like what you see, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe so you can see my content in the future. Also, while you're here, if you have any game suggestions or you just want to say hi, leave it down in the comment section below. I'm Daisy Hyena. I'll catch you on the next vid.